New York City. Christmas Eve, 1920 something. The toughest Jews in New York sit around a table at Joe the Greaser's, one of the infamous basement hangs for Jewish gangsters and tough guys on the Lower East Side. Louis the Butcher Lepke is there. The infamous Shapiro brothers are there. And there, at the center of the table, the toughest Jew of them all, the gangster Meyer Lansky. Young, handsome, dangerous, Jewish. Suddenly, from the front of the room, the sounds of drums, accordion, and the clarinet. The lights cut out, darkness. The gangsters, they reach to their hips, fingering their weapons, ready for, waiting for what is to come. Tiny points of moving light break through the haze of cigar smoke. What's that? Christmas lights? I think it's a Christmas tree. And it's moving towards Lansky. Is it playing music? Klezmer music? Jewish music? A klezmer clarinet playing Christmas tree. Is it a Jewish Christmas miracle? A little yes, a little no. It's the king of klezmer, Naftule Brandwein, wrapped in hundreds of light bulbs, an incredible, incendiary eternal flame of Jewish musical might. For a moment, Brandwein thinks to himself, was this a smart career move? Christmas Eve in front of the hardest men in town, and the hardest of them is staring icy cold right through me. Well, if this is my last night on Earth, make it memorable, I guess. Merry Christmas. The band kicks up the tempo. The Butcher is up. The Shapiros are up. Lansky is up, dancing. The gangsters shout. They throw money, 10s, 20s, piles of money. Faster he plays, more sweat, more money, more sweat, more electricity, more sweat. The Christmas lights meet the sweat and boom, they short out. Naftule is down, but don't worry, folks. We have not killed off our hero, the legend, Naftule Brandwein. Naftule Brandwein. What's that? You don't know this name? For a brief, thrilling period, there was no bigger musician than Naftule. If you were a Jew in New York in 1910 or 1920, you were in awe of Brandwein. Naftule was born in Ukraine, one of 10 brothers, all of whom played. The musicians, part of generations of musical families, were essential to community life. Every celebration included the klezmer musicians. Weddings lasted a full week. But anti-Semitism led to violent pogroms, led to a wave of emigration to the US. In 1909, a young Naftule left Ukraine by boat for New York City. America, look out. Almost immediately, Naftule, backed by his brothers Azriel and Mookie, dominated the Jewish wedding circuit. If there was a party to be had in New York, you were calling the Brandweins. Showtime. What's a meal without a little schmaltz? And what's a band leader without a little shtick? Our Naftule was a virtuoso musician, but he understood that in America, where weddings lasted hours and not weeks, and attention spans had been cut short as if by the mohel, you needed to be a performer with a capital P. You needed a calling card. Naftule carried with him a marquee, Naftulean lights, and don't you forget it. When the event was just right, he pulled out a top hat, striped pants, and a fake long white goatee, a glot kosher Uncle Sam. And he did in fact create that light up Christmas tree suit. He experimented with light and electricity, making more than one style of suit. When it worked, it was well electric, but more often than not, his experimentations with electricity did not end up going well. As fellow musician recalled,
Naftule came up to perform where I was working. He used to have an act where he'd wear a suit with light bulbs sewn into it. The suit would be hooked up to a cord that stretched 80,000 feet with a plug at the end.
Yes, we understand that quote says he carried with him 15.1 miles of cord.
While he was walking and playing, he tripped over the cord, and a few of the bulbs started to short out. There was a big flash, and he yelled out, "I'm on fire! I'm on fire!" And he ran out of the place and jumped right into the pool.
But please don't think our Naftule was a klutz. The man played with soul, as recalled by a young man the first time he saw Naftule play in the 1940s.
There was a drum roll and the lights went out, and I sensed all around me that I was the only one that didn't know what was going to happen. All of a sudden, a spotlight went on the center of the hall, and there he was. It was just the glistening image. All around me I could hear the women going, "Oh." It quieted down and he started to play. He started coming around each table playing, and the band was playing. I watched these women, and it was like they couldn't breathe, and they would just fell. It was almost orgiastic.
The money poured in. In a single night in the 1920s, Brandwein's band could earn $1,200 in tips. In 1920, that's almost $17,000 today. Support your local klezmer musician. LPs are for sale in the lobby. Our hero did not discriminate. He played for all the gangsters on the Lower East Side. He played for all the women of the houses of ill repute and played for those women's daughters and relatives. During Prohibition, he joined up with two enterprising hotel owners who hired a private train to shuttle people between New York and the Catskills. Naftule was a musical entertainment and booze flowed freely. Did Naftule Brandwein invent the booze cruise? By the close of the 1940s, the meeting of cultures turned the old world Jews into urban Americans. The gangsters, they moved to the desert and founded Las Vegas. And our Naftule the legend, the electric, the eccentric, Naftule Brandwein, he kept the lights on in New York City. And to him, we say, Zoleben Naftule! Let's give it up for Michael Winograd, our own eternal flame of musical might on clarinet. Ira Temple on accordion. This exceptionally gorgeous cranky was made by the one and only Tine Kindermann, who is not with us today, but but it is puppeteered by the always present on this stage, Emily Schubert. You have reached the end of the first half of the 8th Baltimore Crankie Festival. Go grab a beverage, support your bartenders. We'll take about 10 minutes and we'll be back with a whole lot more cranking. Thank you.